Hello, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Okay, good morning. Okay, I'll be discussing to you overview of data structures. Okay, to start with, okay, have you ever been in a library? If yes, then the next question is, what have you observed there? What do you observe? Usually, it is full of books, right? Library should be full of books. And then, what else can you observe? Diba, itong books are arranged according to the area, kung ano hiya, category, kung general science, kung history, kung computer. Diba, usually. Now, something you need when you are arranging them. The books should be arranged, right? So what term is being used there, or what uh, system is being used there? So, ada na kita mapasok kita ton data structure. Imagine a librarian or a clerk without such system. Ba? Magulo iton ato library. Bisan la diin nakabutang nag-aharalo iton area. Di ba? So, ada mapasok iton data structure. Data structure will play a vital role in arranging them. Okay. So let us define a data structure. So as defined here, it is just a systematic way to organize data. When you say systematic means a step-by-step way or process to organize. That is organizing, arranging them in order and efficiently. Now, in data structure, we have two terms that being tackled. So the first one is interface. So when you say interface, it represents set of operations that our data structure supports. So when you say a set, that is only a list, collection of operations. And another term is implementation. When you say implementation, an iyasulod, the internal representation of the data structure. Okay? Okay, let's move. So now, let's move to the characteristics of a data structure. So, ano nga ba characteristics of a data structure? Number one is correctness. When we say correctness, the implementation should implement its interface correctly. Dapat correct. Okay? Kung ginsaset natin it name, the implementation should set the name, not to set the age or set the address. Should be correct. Another is time complexity. When I say time complexity, it refers to the running time or the execution time. So, dapat pinaka smallest span of time, pinaka madagmit. Yeah. It nga pag-operate ito niya data structure. Okay? And then space complexity. When I say space complexity, the amount of time, it is the amount, it's amount of memory. Okay? Memory nga ang gagamit. Why do we need to study data structure? We need this during data search. So, now, as data grows, search becomes slower. Kaya ano, damo na data. So, kukuray na kita pagbiling. Okay lang kung good ay palat data because madangit lahat pagbiling. Processor speed. Processor speed, though very high, falls limited if the data grows to billion records. Okay? Nati ka maluya iya. So, nati ka damo it data, nati ka maluya iton aton processor. And then, multiple requests. We say multiple requests. Kung damo it nagamit, iton data, nag-fail it aton server. Diba? Example, when you are playing Mobile Legends, usually, diba, the players, as observed, play during late nights or even in early morning because during that time, buti ay ito nagamit iton data. So, kung damo nga nagamit yung data, maluya-hiya, and sometimes nag-fail. Okay? Okay, so let's move to execution time cases. So, we have three. One is the worst case. When you say worst case, that is the scenario nga the operation takes maximum. When you say maximum, pinakahataas, pinakahalaba na time to execute such operation. Worst case. Another is average case. When you say average case, that is the average execution of the operation. Pinakanakan ba niya? Middle na iya. Then, another is the best case. When you say best case, that is the scenario nga pinaka-least, pinakaguti ay, pinakamadagmit nga pag-operate iton nga data structure. Now, let's move to basic terminologies. First is, let's define data. Data are what we call as your values or set of values. Data item naman refers to a single unit of value. Okay? Group items, they are divided into sub-items. Then elementary items, those are data that cannot be divided. And then the attributes and entity, it contains attributes or properties. Another are your entity set, which is similar to your attributes, and the field, single elementary unit representing your information. Example, name, your name, age, address. And record naman, collection of field values. For example, in a class, each student has a record. Tapos, so for example, nangaran, he Chan, basta, Chan. Si Chan. So, it recorded Chan for a single con, that is what we call this record. Under this record, may name, may age, these are your fields. Kung matero kito niya yung field that composed record. Okay? And then a file na is a collection of records. For example, in a class, damo na, he John, he Mary, he Kevin, he Patrick, he Anna. Okay. When they are collected, when the records of each student will be collected, it becomes your file. Yes. Okay, let's move to data definition. So data definition defines a particular data with the following characteristics. Kung ano yung characteristic, ito yung data. It can be a string, an integer, character, or float. So that is the definition. I-define mo kung ano hiya. Ano yung characteristics. Ano naman yung characteristics? So it should be atomic. When I say atomic, a single o sala. Okay? Traceable. Traceable, it can be mapped. Meaning, mabibilngan mo. trace. And then accurate, should be accurate. Should be unambiguous. When I say unambiguous, dere hiya malipong. Okay? Clear and concise, dapat klarado na naiintindihan. Okay? And short. Okay, let's move to our data types. So data types, we have here data object. Let us first define what is a data object. It represents an object having a data. For example, in your class, each student is an object. Okay? Tapos, ito niya object, ito niya student, may niya data. Ano, may niya name, may niya age, may niya address. Example. Then, data type naman. And your data type is a way to classify or the classification as to what data is present in an object. It can be an integer for age, diba? String can be your name, your address, your guardian, ganyan. Now, we have two types of data type, what we call as built-in data type. When I say built-in, so those are already defined. Sample, integer, double, float, string, character, boolean. And another is derived data type. So derived data type can be also called as your abstract data type. So it consists of your array, list, queue, stack, and others. Okay, here is a representation hierarchy of data types. So here the root is a data structures. Nasimang kita, we have two types of data type, primitive and non-primitive. Your primitive data type, data structure, are what we call as built-in, an integer, string, character, double, float, and HDD. While, on the other hand, the non-primitive data structure are what we call as abstract data types. Under that, we have linear and non-linear. When I say linear, linya hiya. Tuloy-tuloy lang hiya. Non-linear can be iba-iba tiya structure. So in non-linear, we have static and dynamic. When I say static, example is an array, continuous lang, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Static, constant here. While on dynamic naman, we have linked list, stack, and queue. So these are dynamic because pwede na hiya can be reversed, can be insert, pwede ka na mag-insert, yan, pwede mag-delete, dynamic, dari, permit. Now, on non-linear naman, we have three. Example of a tree is this picture. Many root, many children, many leaves. Okay, and then graph. Itong graph naman, may example is cycle, basta mag-graph or polygon. Those are examples of graph data structure. Okay, what are the basic operations in a data structure? So may dana mga operations. Number one is traversing. When I say traversing, kita traverse naton, ginagian naton. Okay, one by one. Searching. Searching is pag-search, pagbiling. Okay, so traversing and searching works hand in hand. You cannot search if you don't traverse. So, di ba, pagian mo anay, saan mo ma-search? Magian mo. Then, insertion is adding elements. Pag-add niya. Nagdadagdag ka. Deletion naman is pag-eliminate, pag-delete, or pag-iban. When I say sorting, sorting is arranging them in order. It can be alphabetically, it can be ascending, in ascending, meaning tipahataas, it values. When descending naman, tipabubok. And then last is merging. When I say merging, we are combining two. two groups, merge natin, ko combine. Okay, so that's all for your discussion in chapter 1. Now let's move to your assessment. So I have only 2 items in your assessment, right? Number 1 is just discuss and differentiate each data structure and give at least one example scenario, real life scenario using such abstract data type. Number 2 naman is spin not so game. So in spin not so game, you are going to select a partner from your class, and then what you're going to do is you'll just be selecting words added on box. Inside the box are speed, not, so, as if, in, pan, fat, fa. So those are words that is in the box. Now, ikaw mga duha, assuming that you don't even know what words you are going to pick or to select. So, you're going to have a conversation na kung ano di mo pipilion a word. Now, if that word is already selected, you cannot select it again. Okay? Ginkuha mo na. Okay, so at the end of the game, the student who will get 3 words containing similar letter, for example, didi, not, di ba may O, it fap may O, it so may niya O. So, hiyat magdadaog. Hit una nga, makaget hin 3 words nga may similar nga letters. Okay? Now, ini igsusurat, di ba? As I instructed, you are going to write them. You are going to write your answers in a long bond paper. So, isusurat mo hiya. But then, for number 2, after mo isurat, and didi example, and kung bago process and conversation, I want to see if really you did have a conversation with your partner. I want you to attach your screenshot of your conversation. Can be a messenger, in messenger, or any platforms, or text, ganyan. You write the name of your partner. Okay? Now, the winner, of course, the winner for number 2 will get the higher score because nag-aim here to win, and he knows how to organize kung pati onan or mini strategy to win that game. Any question? If none, you are dismissed. Thank you for listening and good morning.